Here's verse 11. And they had a king over them, which is the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon. You see, Mr. Bolios, you got the King James version here. Charlie had the Catholic version. And in that version, the angel of the bottomless pit also had a Latin name.
Do you remember what it was?
Sure. Exterminance.
Exterminance. Charles Manson.
So this is my review for Exterminance by Ritual Killer. So, Exterminance is the second album by the black metal band Ritual Killer, not to be confused with another band I had reviewed in the past called Torture Killer. Ritual Killer I guess technically they're split up now, but Ritual Killer was based out of New Orleans, Louisiana, and this is their second album, and it was released on September 18th, 2015. The label this album is released on is Season of Mist. It's so hard not to say seasons, but the label is Season of Mist. The album is still available for purchase, thankfully, on the band's Bandcamp, though you can only seem to get it digitally. I did try to buy a physical copy, but they refunded my money. I guess there are just no more physical copies left, at least that you can buy directly from the label itself. Now, of course, that doesn't mean you can get it from maybe somebody off eBay or Discogs or something. On the bright side, though, you can still buy shirts of this album, as you can see right behind me. Sorry, right there. Right behind me is the shirt I bought actually earlier this year in 2026. And that is from their Bandcamp. And it's from, or about, for whatever, this album, Exterminance. Wow! Exterminate shirts! I have one. So anyway, so to talk a little bit more about this album, kind of just some of my thoughts before talking about the music itself. So this album is a lot more polished in comparison to their first one. In many ways, I kind of consider this to be their real first album, but then again, Ritual Killer is supposed to be black metal, and so black metal can also be, not the best quality. Their first album is, to me, much more of a demo. It's very raw and not very polished. Whereas Exterminance, this album, the second one, has much more of a studio sound, more polished feel in juxtaposition to the first release. I don't know where they went to record this. I don't know what studio they might have gone to. I couldn't find any info online, and by the time I ever started listening to this band, I really didn't ever have a chance to ask Sammy Duet or anybody else about this. For this release on this album, the personnel, if you want to call it that, was Jordan Barlow on vocals, Sammy Duet on guitar, James Harvey on bass, and Zach Nolan on drums. Jordan Barlow also, of course, made the album art, and I find it to be great. I find Jordan to be a really great artist. To me, he is a true artist. I mean, an artist in the most truest sense definition of that word. He creates beautiful pieces of literature, art, and music, and he's also a tattoo artist, which he's done fantastic work, and you can see that on his Instagram pages. He has a tattoo page and an art page, which if you are on Instagram, I do recommend following him because he is just fantastic. I really, really enjoy his work, and he's extremely intelligent too, which I really like about him also. I don't know, trivia wise. There's a lot of trivia about the album I don't know. There's not very much out there for people to read about with Ritual Killer. I guess maybe they just didn't ever anticipate anyone wanting to know more, unfortunately. So I don't know the actual reason why they named this album Exterminance, though I can imagine something that might have something to do with it. I think it might have something to do with what is mentioned in the Bible. Considering that this is a black metal band, it wouldn't be surprising if that's the case. The reason I believe this, honestly, is because in the Catholic version of the Bible, which is apparently titled the Douay Rheims version, Exterminance, which is spelled with Nans, as opposed to this album that is Nance. But in the Douay Rheims version of the Bible, exterminance is mentioned in the section titled Apocalypse, or in the Protestant versions of the Bible, what many people know and refer to as Revelations. So the verse that stems from Apocalypse in the Douay Bible is 9:10 through 11, and it goes, as I quote, "And they had tails like to scorpions, and there were stings in their tails, and their power was to hurt men 5 months. And they had over them a king, the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon or Abaddon, and in Greek Apollyon, and in Latin Exterminance." While Jordan Barlow's lyrics to this album aren't available anywhere, I hoped I could have bought a physical copy. Maybe his lyrics were in there, but I guess not. I do think that there are still mystical and esoteric themes to the songs, even if you can't make out every word that is said. There are a lot of esoteric themes to Jordan Barlow's art, also, as seen on the art to this album, and just other pieces of art that he's worked on, other album art. For the art to Exterminance, you can see the symbols that are beautifully linked together. You could kind of see it on my shirt in the background, but I will, of course, make sure to feature the album art available on screen, right? I feel like the art to this album can be interpreted in many ways, especially once you start to read into the meaning of these esoteric symbols. But the one that sticks out to me the most is a symbol which I am very sure is representative of the planet Saturn, which is at the near far end of the picture. And let me see. You could just barely see it on the shirt behind me, but if I'm showing the album art over it, you probably can't see what I'm talking about anyway. But either way, to me, you could see like tridents or, pitchforks, if you want to call it that. What looks like Saturn symbol and quite a few other things. What I focus the most on with the art is the man whose hand is like right in front of his face, right? And it's like he's telling the viewer, the person looking at the artwork, that using your mind, is powerful, that mind over matter works and will help him achieve anything. And if that's the case, I believe that to be true, honestly. On the other hand, I won't lie. I know this is very blunt and potentially crass to say this, but when I look at the art, I also can't help but honestly see a penis. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be there or not. Is it like a hidden penis? I don't know. I'm not sure if that's intentional, but I do see a penis in the in the artwork. Anyway, I wonder if that's intentional. I really wonder. Anyway. But talking about the album itself, the music, the album isn't very long. It's only 27 minutes and 40 seconds, so it's not even 30 minutes long. But even still, I found myself really enjoying this album. So to actually talk about the songs, here are my thoughts, in review of the album. What do you think? So the first song on the album is titled "Bury the Earth, Bury the Sky." And what I felt listening to this was that which is the intro song to the album, we are greeted by some type of verse or text, I don't know what, but it appears to be reversed. Obviously, what's obviously reversed. I don't know what is being said exactly, but it already sets the mood of what's yet to come. There's this one part that almost sounds like Jordan, or who I assume is Jordan Barlow talking, where whoever it is, they say, manifest the earth, or at least that's what it sounds like to me. I wonder if that was intentional. I don't know. But it reminds me of what's going on in the album art. Two colors that come to mind are black and white, and not because those are the colors of the album art, but when I close my eyes and listen to the music, those two colors come to me, really just black and white, really. It's like a mixture of the absence of everything while only being allowed to see certain things. I love Sam's opening riffs to the song, which is like a bat out of hell ready to attack, which only seems to be complemented by his vocals. I truly enjoy how punky and evil this song sounds, and it's a fantastic opening to the album, while of course also being great to listen to on its own. It stands on its own. The duet, if you want to call it that, between Sam and Jordan is really great, and I truly believe that they have great chemistry, which works together on every song with this album. The second song on this album is titled As the Vulture Feeds, and my thoughts were this, where I felt like the song starts off almost piggybacking in a way, but not in a bad way. It like piggybacks from the first song in the sense that it's like a continuation. It's like part two. I mean, literally, it's the second song in the album. I love how as it goes on, Sam plays his guitar like it's sort of this kind of sea shanty or something like that. The second half of the song speeds up, and the drummer, Zach, does this thing that I like to call traveling. I think that's an actual term, but I'm not sure. The song has this sort of like evil bend to it, as heard like near the end, really. I absolutely love how Sam plays his strings, and his style on this album in general is just something I just really, really enjoy. In many ways, I truly feel like Ritual Killer was the natural continuation of Sammy Due's talent and career, believe it or not. To me, it's clear that with songs like these, it all comes from the heart. I think that Zach Nolan is an underrated drummer, which for black metal is a good thing, right? Third is the song Through Feral Eyes. This is by far the shortest and fastest song on the album. It's not even 2 minutes long. Ironically, though, it's my favorite song off the entire album. Seriously. I love, 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 love. I really love the way Sammy bends his guitar strings on this one, especially on this song. I really love it. The guitar solo in this song is insane also. I mean, especially when you consider how short the song is. Like, they threw a solo in there too? Okay. You know, I really think that James Harvey really shines on this song. I really do. His bass, the way he played bass on this song has this groove which cradles back and forth. He played like, to me, I imagined waves crashing against the beach. Or very similar to how a woman's hips sashay back and forth. That's what I envisioned when I listened to this song and James is playing in general. I really like, too, how Sammy pulls back on this song a bit to help showcase James's talent, you know, in a way. It's like, okay, we know Sammy can do this, this, and this, but he's like, to me, it's like, he's like, okay, now, James, it's your turn. You know, that's what I thought. And I was like, I really love that. I really love when you can listen to a band and it's not just, hey, it's the so-and-so show. It's not just one person thinking that they're the entire band. What I really like is that with songs like this, you see that as Johnny Kelly said about Typo Negative, they were the sum of their own parts. And that's how I feel it was with this band, with this album in general. They were the sum of their parts, right? This song shows great harmony and unification between the band members, and it's clear to me that they were all on the same page. It seems like they all had fun when making this song, and it shows. Even though it's like heavy and evil, of course, it's metal, it has this fun, punky, and even silly sound to it. I don't know, of course, what the lyrics to the song is. Either way, I don't know what the lyrics are, but I really, oh man, the way I wrote this down. Okay. I found that the part to the song where they go kind of like beep ba ba boop ba bay da 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 doo doo dee. I found it to be so silly and cute. And I know that that's not how they really sound. These are grown ass men and they're trying to sound evil. But it just, that's how the melody or the rhythm goes. There's this one part where Sammy and Jordan Barlow are like da ba ba boo ba babe beep ba ba boop ba babe. And I just love it. I just love it so much. I think that Sammy's punk influences really show off in this song, and I think it's great. This is my favorite song off the album. I think it's fantastic. I really do. So the fourth song is Dogs, Wolves, and Carrion Fowl. Carrion, sculpted entity. Okay, wrong band. But anyway, so Dogs, Wolves, and Carrion Fowl is a song that goes for a more blunt force type of approach in the beginning. It has this sort of like rainstorm sound, and it's like you're in the middle of the ocean, right? I imagine when I closed my eyes a boat just being ruthlessly pulled by the heavy tide, like Moby Dick, right? Isn't that what happens in the book? I thought that Sam started doing those bends again in the song, and it reminded me a lot of what he would do in Crowbar, especially on the album Sonic XS in its purest form. You would also hear some of these type of bends in the Goat Whore album A Haunting Curse, especially on the song Silence Marked by the Breaking of Bone, which is one of my favorite Goat Whore songs, actually. I don't know why Sammy didn't do those bends more with Goat Whore, but I suppose that was probably just not the vision that band had. Even still, this song in particular, I think, is a great showcase of his talent that you wouldn't hear in other bands. You hear the bends in Crowbar, but not the evilness. You'll hear the evilness in Goat Whore, but not the bends. Ritual Killer has it both, and that's what I like the most. The next song, I'm not sure if I could pronounce this correctly on YouTube without getting demonetized, but I'll say it like this, is Kuntias, right? Cuntius. So when I was just looking up any potential trivia I could find on the Metal Archives, for whatever reason on the archives, they spelled the song with two U's. I'm sure that's just like a keyboard error, but I was like, why did they do that? Anyway, the first time I ever heard this song, though, I was actually startled by the woman who is screaming no at the beginning. I've since gotten used to it, right? Though I do wonder where the scream comes from. I assume it's from some sort of horror movie, though I have yet to watch it, if that's true. I think it might be, I'm not sure. And I if I could ask Sammy Due, I would, but I don't have a chance to do so. I never got a chance to ask him about this album. Considering that they did have a clip from the movie Alucarda in the first Ritual Killer album, I do think this might be from a movie. The song, though, itself has this slow build up, especially with Jordan's voice, and then it goes into this short kind of segment of riffs that kind of nearly sound like a dog barking. I mean, I literally was like, that sounds like a dog. In fact, that sounds kind of like my dog when she sees somebody she doesn't know, she'll just start barking like that. And I have to tell her, shut up, stop, But I really actually enjoy this part of the song because it makes for a really fun ending that's really brutal and high energy. I think it's very clever. I don't think I've ever heard anything like that in anybody's music before. The sixth song is called Pale Corpse Incantations. This song sounds very evil at times, nearly like Jordan Barlow is summoning something, right? I love the duet again with Jordan and Sammy. And they have this rhythm, kind of like in the previous song I talked about. They have this rhythm in this one where it goes 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and 1, 2, 3. And I just love it. It's so fun. There's a lot of fun to this song, a lot of fun had on this album. I don't know what they're saying. I don't know what the lyrics are, but once again, it's just so punky, fun, and high energy. The song will build up and then it slows down, kind of like the lava in a volcano that keeps rising higher and higher before finally erupting. The seventh song is called Crippling Beast. So this was a song that starts out, in my opinion, on a mission, right? Like they're out to accomplish something. And it was like the beginning of a quest to an epic journey. I likely just even thought this because Zach, the drummer, does his like traveling thing again, which it made me envision this like as the soundtrack to some sort of mega journey of some sort, right? I feel like Zach Nolan takes more of a lead in this song, which is really nice for a change. Though I would consider Sammy to be the band leader, like in jazz terms, the others seem to play more in unison with Zach's style on this song. And just for a quick reference, what I mean by band leader is that the way Sammy Duet makes music, he's not the type of person that's like, no, you have to follow me, but it's just the way I think he creates his riffs, right? Where it's sort of, as the guitarist, he starts out first, and then especially when you see him play live, he tends to keep in rhythm, keep in motion with the drummer. So it'll be Sammy has a riff, the drummer keeps in tune with him, and the bassist keeps in tune with that. But this song is different because it's more like Sam and James Harvey are following Zach Nolan's lead. And that's another reason why I like the song, because it's a different, it's a change of scenery. That's what I like about it. It's a change of scenery. The eighth and final song is titled Passing of Creation. So, of course, this is the last one, and it kind of makes me sad. I was like, I really like this album. But I think that this was a perfect closer for the release. It has this sound like as if, once again, they're conjuring something is being summoned, right? And it also keeps that fast rhythm going. I love the outro. It's very groovy and it has that sashaying sound and feel to it again. I found the song to be fun and high energy, And overall, I really, really enjoyed this album, obviously, as you could probably tell from this review. I found it to be a surprise favorite of mine. I don't even remember off the top of my head when I first decided to check out Ritual Killer. I just did maybe a year or so ago, 2 years ago. But I was surprised. I was like, I really like this, I know that it's been 11 years actually since this album was released, since they ever made anything, and they've technically split up since then. But I really truly believe, and I'm not trying to sound like, oh, please get back together, but I really believe if the opportunity were to ever arise, I think that Ritual Killer could, and honestly should, make music again. This album was so good, I would love to hear like a third release. I really would. Now, I really believe that this album is a great example of black metal that doesn't fall into the stereotype of being grim and cold and frostbitten. Oh, it's so grim and frostbitten, There's a lot of people that seem to believe that black metal has to sound like Mayhem's De Mysteries dum Satanas. Right? It has to sound like Mayhem. It has to sound like Freezing Moon. If you're not creating a Freezing Moon knockoff, you should just quit. But Ritual Killer's not like that, and I appreciate that. To me, you can hear the vast influences from the conglomerate between all the members. that Celtic Frost influence, the plasmatics influence, even the inspiration from various horror movies that they've watched. If you know what it has influenced these people, these musicians, you can definitely hear it in their music, and I think they did a really good job with it. In the years that this album came out, James Harvey has since passed away. I'm very grateful for the music that he gave us while he was still on this earth. I really am. I think that this album was a great example of his talents, more than just what you would have heard with Goat Whore, you know. The Ritual Killer is a great example of real black metal that James Harvey was capable of, truly. If you listen to Ritual Killer's first album and then you listen to this one, their second, you can hear the difference and the level of expertise that James Harvey brought to the music. That's why I really mean it when I said that even though this is their second album, to me this is more like their official first one, because in many ways James Harvey changed the game. Between that first and this second one, it is night and day. It's night and day, right? There's also this, I didn't write this down, I meant to, but I just want to say real quickly that there's this style or feel with this album that makes me nostalgic. It's only 2026 as I record this, right? But I can already kind of look back at this time period, 2015, 2016, and I kind of miss it a little bit. I miss going to, because I listen to this album and I think a lot about when I used to go to Austin, Texas, downtown Austin, Texas, to see metal shows. And this album reminds me a lot of the type of bands you would hear either playing in downtown Austin or even playing overhead, you know, on the speakers at a venue, right? There's just something about this album that reminds me of that decade, and I kind of miss it. I really do, you know? Overall, truly, I give this album, believe it or not, I give this album a 5 out of 5. Seriously, I think it is just that good. You know, if you like black metal, then I think this is worth checking out. You know, and I do want to say too, there are people who, like I said, they believe that black metal should just be one way, the Norwegian, Scandinavian stuff, when it's so much more than that. In fact, believe it or not, a lot of black metal bands seem to, early ones, I'll say it this way, a lot of early black metal bands were influenced by, I swear, it's like only Slayer or only Celtic Frost. But you could hear the difference between bands that were Slayer influenced and Celtic Frost influenced. And like, for example, early Behemoth influenced by Slayer. Granted, a lot of, Sammy Duet's music, Celtic Frost influenced, right? But even still, I think that this album is in the realm of people who enjoy bands like Celtic Frost, Triptychon, and actually even Behemoth. You know, and not really early Behemoth, but more of the early 2000s, right around the when they started doing the black and death metal thing. What albums would that be like? So, you know, if you like the Eschaton stuff, what the fuck is that album called? The kind of early 2000s Behemoth stuff, you know, like the Apostasy, Eschaton, sorry. I think that this is another one that you would like, you know. If you like that first Goat Whore album, this is definitely right up your alley. I mean, of course, because this is Ritual Killer, and it has Sammy Duet, and Goat Whore has Sammy Duet, right? But this is what I think of, you know, when I listen to this album. Truly, I give it a 5 out of 5. I know a lot of people are very picky about their metal music, but I think it's worth checking out. So that's my review. I hope you'll enjoy this. And even if you're not into metal or black metal, for God's sakes, my God, I hope you enjoy this video. You know, please consider liking and subscribing and sharing and all that kind of great stuff, right? And I'll see you in the next one.